The views and opinions expressed on the show by the host and doctor experts do not reflect the views of Johnson& and Johnson or its management. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, mommies. Thank you so much for being with us here again today. My name is Kat Salaw, here to host another session of Johnson School of Gentle, where we invite experts, different experts, to help ease the worries of the mommies in this time of fear and uncertainty. Now, we have a few sessions already that we did a week ago, I believe. And if you'd like to check those out, they're on their Facebook page right below this as well. But for new moms with babies and toddlers, we absolutely know how important it is at this age and stage of a baby to regularly see your pediatricians and ensure that your babies are healthy. And that's why we understand that having limited access to hospitals right now, the stress that it brings you, the worry that it brings you, it really does cause a lot of anxiety for moms. So today, Johnson's Baby and Vivity invited a pediatrician to help answer top concerns when it comes to protecting babies' overall health and wellness in the time of COVID-19. Now, this is a J&J initiated Facebook Live, and our doctor for today is the J&J hired resource speaker to talk about the topics. Joining us today is a diplomate of the Philippine Pediatric Society. She practices in Asian Hospital, Las Piñas City Medical Center, Las Piñas Doctors Hospital, and South City Hospital in Cavite, to name a few. Of course, allow me to introduce Dr. Marevelyn V. Matic. Hi, Doc. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hi, Cats. Good afternoon to everybody watching. Hope you had a good day.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you today. We have a bunch of questions already for you, and hopefully you are also very ready to answer the questions.
We will try. We will try our very best to do so.
Now, Doc, a lot of mommies are watching, and for all the moms and dads who are watching out there, we know that you have stresses because you can't really easily visit your doctors, your hospitals right now. Kasi, and you will not know, nagsistress yung mga parents kasi pag kuwari, nagkasakit, mapilayan, magkasugat, yung mga baby nila, they don't exactly know what to do. And, it causes a lot of stress and worry and fear for the health and wellness of the baby. So we've gathered a couple of questions that we're going to ask Doc Marev today. And later on as well, if you have your own questions, please feel free to comment in the comment section. We'll choose a couple. Hopefully, Doc will be able to answer as many as possible and help ease your worries today. All right, let's start the Johnson School of Gentle, Doc. Okay, so Doc Marev, the first set of questions that we have here about babies' eating habits. This is actually very important because in the quarantine period, even if we don't get to go out, we have to make sure that the babies really eat the right food and that they are eating very well.
Yes, that's true.
Our first question, Doc, is do I need to increase the dosage of my baby's vitamins?
Actually, Cats and everybody watching, there is no need for you to increase any of your dosage for vitamins. In the first place, excuse me, you only give vitamins to augment your usual daily diet. Now, if you're actually giving a very good diet, complete in the nutrition, your vitamins doesn't play a great role. Now, if you're already prescribed or taking your vitamins, just take them as your usual dose. No need to double, not unless your pediatrician or any medical doctor has told you to do so. But then, that should be it. No need to increase, not unless there's a need to.
There you go. There's no way that I will get extra healthy if I drink extra vitamins or if my baby gets extra vitamins.
No, that's true, because if you take extra, you have to remember not all vitamins. Some vitamins are water soluble, means you just pee it out, it takes excess. But some vitamins are actually fat soluble, so you can actually overdose on your vitamins if taken more than what you're prescribed. So I really would advise just to take what you were prescribed and eat the right diet and take all your fluids that you need.
There you have it, mommies. No need to double up on those vitamins because, there is an overdose that we would like to avoid. Doc, you spoke about eating the right food. Paano po kapag may mapili si baby sa food, what can I offer him?
Okay. I'd like for you to put that in context. First and foremost, feeding or eating is actually a learned thing. So that's why we start giving semi-solid feeding as early as 6 months of age, because we expect you to start giving them different tastes and textures that they play in their mouth. Then when they're 1 year old, we're expecting between 1 to 2 that they're actually eating whatever table food you're eating. Now, kung mapili, yung pagiging mapili kasi sometimes that's dictated by practice. What does it mean? Your babies won't know particular tastes not unless you've introduced them to. So example, ang alam lang nilang pagkain for the longest time is ampalaya lang. Yun lang talaga sa kanilang pagkain. Now, if all you're feeding your kid is fried chicken, then you decide to give him gulay for the first time, it's but natural for them to not to have a familiarity for that particular meal. That is why we say you give them different kinds of meals. You have to increase the variety. You have to increase also the nutritional component of each vitamin. If you remember from our pyramid of food, so you can't all be just giving carbohydrates, cakes, pastas, all down them, but you also have to increase all your fruits and vegetables. You try one new kind of food, you now be innovative about it in order for them to try it. Then they should also see you try that particular food, because you have to remember, kids mirror whatever you're doing. So if they see you eating that kind of food and you seem to be enjoying that, so that would be one way to convince them to eat that kind of food, because you cannot convince your child to eat a particular kind of food if you yourself are not eating that food. So it's very difficult to mirror that particular habit.
Yeah, Doc, there are a lot of moms now that are probably experimenting with including more vegetables in their in the diet of their babies. There are, this is the time in the quarantine time maybe to have a little fun in introducing new food to your baby.
Yes, actually, now we have all the time. Before, it's very difficult because you don't have time. We have a time limit. But now we have all the time, and even trying them to cook with you will actually encourage them to eat the food that they cook. So it's one thing. It's also one form of bonding. So bonding not necessarily means just play, but you can also have bonding time with cooking, bonding, and they would see that they will appreciate the effort that you placed into it if you see them, if they help. So they're not necessarily probably cooking with fire, but just mixing and putting the decorations on their food, making it more a little bit child friendly.
Doc, that is such a great idea. Make it a bonding moment, but also include them in the cooking and all of that. That is so smart, Doc. Now, when it comes to the appetite naman, what if they do eat, but the appetite is very small? How do I increase my baby's appetite para mabalik yung gana niya sa pagkain?
Okay, we'd like, if appetite is a problem, you have to also understand the concept of Filipinos kasi na big kids are supposed to be round and cute and fluffy. So that's not actually the right. All of us, we think that if kids are nice, round, and fluffy, they're cute and they're healthy. But maybe those who are actually leaner, as long as they belong, their weight is right swag in the expected weight for age. That is what we want. Kasi even though okay yung weight niya, normal kasi yan sa clinic, kasi bisa, do kang hina niya kumain, then you see the chart for the weight chart, it's actually off the charts already. They're very already overweight or even obese. But kasi Doc, wala siyang kain, kawawa naman siya, nangangayayat siya, pero pag tinig mo siya, parang siyang isang malaking cute gelatin of blob, diba? Parang cute lang nila. So, but then again, we have to also we have to revise our concept of healthy. Our healthy doesn't mean fat or chubby. Healthy means lean, eating with the right weight to height ratio. That's what healthy means. Now, how do we increase that? Sometimes we can do, especially ngayon, mainit kasi, it's very hot nowadays. So that will also affect the appetite. So we have to increase the fluid intakes. Hydration is very important because pwedeng ma-dehydrate ang bata because just of the ambient temperature. Second, we'd also like to be innovative. Again, I said a while ago, we can, unfortunately, the word is trick kids to how to eat different kinds of foods and making them eat what they want. So we'd like to identify what is their favorite food. Now, if we have identified that favorite food, we can now branch off what kind of innovations we can do with that food. Example, But if their favorite is just fried chicken, maybe what we can do is, example, we give them rice or pasta. We now hide the vegetables in that particular meal. So we even sometimes puree the vegetables, mix it in a sauce, making it as a decoration, calling broccoli little trees. That's how you have to be innovative right now. Also, we'd like to for them to you try small frequent feedings. Maybe one large meal is not good for your kid because of the heat, they tire easily. So what you can do is giving small frequent feedings and making sure that they are properly hydrated, getting the enough fluids that they take, because it is again a very hot season.
Understood, Doc, because it's really so difficult when the babies are so used to one kind of food, and then you give them something that doesn't necessarily taste better, or that fried chicken is really so much better tasting than broccoli. So of course they're going to choose one or the other, but of course it's already the mom's job and the dad's very difficult but very fun job, hopefully, to introduce these kinds of food. I know that there are a lot of food hacks also, and I mean, it doesn't just stop with the babies. As adults also, we can become picky eaters. So what more?
Yes, there are a lot of
newborn
picky
baby
eater adults.
It really is so difficult, but there is so important, as Doc mentioned. It's really eating the right food, maybe lessen the portions, and keep your baby hydrated. That's so important. Doc, our next question naman po is this one is very specific. It comes from a mom who's asking, what are the foods that can help boost my baby's immunity to help fight illnesses?
Immunity per se. So you can have a good immunity if you're taking a healthy diet. So, and if your weight and height are good or normal for age. Sorry, merong background na music na. So you have to get a healthy diet. If you're already ensured that you have a good healthy diet, that in itself will actually boost your immunity. There are no taking also vegetables and fruits, again, having variety in your food. The more colorful your plate is, you are more assured that you are having a better immune boosting meal rather than a one brown colored meal, meaning probably just a fried piece of meat. So again, a colorful plate is a lot better than a one colored brown plate. So that makes sense.
Right, Doc. So it's really it's up to you also as adults to play around with the different colors of the plates, and I guess also to fight the illnesses. Doc, you mentioned kanina, keep hydrating yourself, because it really is so hot right now. It's so difficult to drink water and just keep yourself hydrated. Nakakahilo. So maybe it's not an illness, it's dehydration.
Minsan sometimes that's why you're nahihilo ka. You're just not only losing water, you're also losing some electrolytes. That's why you have to balance the replacement of that as well. Adding water lang. You have to be mindful on how your body is actually acting upon and how your body is feeling in order for you to give what it really needs.
Well, mommies, I have a question for you myself. If you have ways that you are helping your child also eat better, maybe you can help fellow mommies who are having a more difficult time in feeding their babies their vegetables and their healthier foods. And if you're also having a hard time hydrating your children, because, even if we do drink water, sometimes water really just isn't enough. It really is, as Doc said, very important to keep ourselves hydrated. And also our children, they could be picky also when it comes to these electrolyte drinks that we have. And that's why we would like to, I mean, personally, this is one of my faves. It's the Vivity that we were talking about earlier, Doc. So Vivity is a great tasting electrolyte drink that contains essential electrolytes that replace lost fluids and keep you hydrated. And the best part is, kids love the flavor. So we know that some electrolyte drinks may not be as palatable for the kids, but this one, the kids love it. So this is what it looks like. This is the Vivity bottle. If you guys have seen it, it is actually so easy because you don't have to mix it in water. You just keep it with you. You can keep it chill, drink it as is, and anytime, anywhere, it already comes in an instant pack. So that is it. Again, that is the Vivity. It comes in two great flavors. There is orange and apple that I have with me. Of course, ready ako because I don't want to be dehydrated, Doc. So that is what we need. Okay, so Doc, the next few questions naman I have here are about delayed vaccines. Now, we've had a lot of moms really ask this. Even in our previous sessions, they really are worried about the vaccine. So we know that a lot of parents really want to ensure that their babies are immunized in this time, most especially now, right? That worry is there. So, Doc, yung first question is, ano po ang mga vaccines na kailangan ni baby sa panahon ngayon?
Okay, kasi vaccination is actually the primary prevention or the primary cornerstone in prevention for our practice, for our pediatric practice. So what is the most important vaccines that you're supposed to receiving? All primary series vaccines are very important. So what are the primary series vaccines? So that comes your Hep B, BPT, polio, HIP. You also have your pneumonia and your anti-rotavirus vaccines. Now, these vaccines, these illnesses, these vaccines can prevent these illnesses. You have to remember that right before this COVID came out, we're actually passing through a measles epidemic. We have this polio resurgence. So they're still out there. It's just that the focus isn't there anymore. So when we come out of eventually of all of this quarantine time inside our house, when we go out there, we don't those illnesses would still be out there, and we still have to have proper protection in order to fight these infections. But the problem now, as you've mentioned, is the delay. Now there's a delay because either parents are scared to go out, or they can't go to a doctor, or again because of the quarantine. So I would really suggest that if you have a great relationship or develop a great relationship with your pediatrician or your family doctor, whoever handles your vaccinations, preferably a pediatrician, because if you have good communication, the pediatrician will be able to advise you on what to do and how to go about your vaccines. So again, vaccinate. We can't forget that our focus shouldn't be just on COVID, because there are a lot of other illnesses out there, probably deadlier and more and vaccine preventable. We have the vaccines for this disease already. So unlike COVID, that there's no vaccine yet, we can't do anything about it. We're unto care rather than prevention. These other infections we can do something about. We can prevent our children from getting these infections.
Right. We have to be one step ahead. Although even if it is such a disadvantage right now for the moms, because nga, Doc, it's so difficult. You have reiterated also that great relationship that you have to have with your pedia or with your doctor, so that maybe you can fix somehow a schedule with them, or they will really know it exactly.
And there's right now, because of the quarantine, there's a lot of other ways for you to grab connection with your pediatrician, not only through actual eye-to-eye physical seeing each other, but there's like this social media. You have telehealth coming out right now. There's a lot of other different kinds of ways for you to get vaccinated. Again, you just have to step out of the box and how you usually perceive how vaccination is, because we will all have a different definition of normal after this. You have to remember, once you get out, you can't just go back to the hospital or to the clinic. There will be a different kind of normal, a different way on how we will have consultations, because we do have to adapt to the current situation.
Agree, Doc. And what better time to get used to telehealth or to, video calls with your doctors
I know.
than now. Sana, Doc, pwede na lang magpa-vaccine through the video camera, no? Sana pwede na yun.
Hindi kasi ganun. Kung pwede lang ganun, we can even treat COVID that way. But unfortunately, we have to actually get the vaccine inside your system.
Thanks, Doc, for that. Hopefully, the moms are a little bit at ease when it comes to getting the vaccines for your kids. Doc, another question is, my 9-month-old baby is supposed to have her MMR vaccine this April. So that is now. Pwede pa bang ihabol after quarantine?
Yes. Now, this doesn't only affect MMR, measles, but for all vaccines that have been delayed due to the quarantine, you have to get those vaccines through a catch-up vaccination program or scheduling. How does that mean? The earliest possible time that you can have your child vaccinated, weighing the pros and the cons, the benefits and the risks, if out there, and if you see that the benefit of getting the vaccine outweighs the risk when you go to a clinic or whatever type of drive to immunization or even different types of immunization schemes that are coming out right now, that you have to measure the risk and the benefit, and you see that your child will benefit from that more than the risk exposure, then have your child vaccinated earliest possible time. So that's it. So regardless of whatever vaccine that is, pwede siyang na-delay from March to April. If you don't even want to go to April, naging May na siya. As long as the earliest possible scheduled time that you can get your child vaccinated, that would be the best for your child. As long as, again, you have to remember the risks versus the benefits of that.
Right.
Meron na kasing hindi na lang ngayon, do you have the funds, do you have the time? Ngayon, you have to take into consideration, what are the risks of me going out there? What would be the benefits I will gain when I go out there? So lahat yun kailangan i-weigh. Then also, hindi na siya pwedeng parang children's party pag nagsasama papuntang clinic. The recommendation right now is just one companion per child. Kasi you'd like to also risk the exposure. So that's why. So hindi na, remember before, you have your mom, your dad, your yaya, then the lolas, the tita, somebody taking a picture. Hindi na pwedeng ganun ngayon. It's a different kind of normal. We will eventually adapt to it. It will eventually get better. But right now, that's how it's going to be.
There you go. It will eventually get better. And the vaccines, thank you, Doc. Very hopeful for that talaga. The vaccines are salvageable. It's, it doesn't really, it's not a detriment. There are ways to catch up with your vaccine, as Doc mentioned. So moms, hopefully that kind of calms you down when it comes to your vaccines, because this is just a little bump in the road that we have.
And Kat, let me just add a little something. You don't also have to repeat the whole series. Just in case you're late, some mothers would ask that. Do I have to repeat the whole series? Example, I'm 2 doses in and the 3rd dose is delayed. Do I have to repeat the whole series? No, with catch-up vaccination, all you have to do is to give that dose that you missed. And subsequent doses that if you have more, but you don't go back. So don't fear.
Yes, that is it. Feel ko, Doc, yun yung mga tanong rin yung mga mothers Yung if they miss, they have to repeat the whole thing.
No, they don't have to. They just have to do catch up, meaning the dose that they missed and whatever subsequent doses that they have to go through. But otherwise, your bank, we call it the bank dose that you already have, it's there. It's good.
Doc, thank you so much for that. You actually answered our other question also, but then I have a specific question, because this one is, ano po yung mga vaccines na pwedeng i-delay, and how long can I delay these vaccines? Because a lot of moms are worried nga po about the delay. So you mentioned the catch-up, but are there any specific vaccines that they have to watch out for, or wala, it's general?
As I mentioned earlier, we have to do really the primary series vaccines. So if example, I haven't received a primary series vaccine versus a booster vaccine, I would get the primary series vaccine first rather than the booster vaccine. Right. But right now, we can actually do what we call combination vaccines and different vaccinations per schedule. It means that before, if you were used to getting one vaccine per clinic visit, now we can give you all the vaccines right at the same time. Yes, I know it is kind of scary, probably because there are a lot of shots, but that's one way to ensure that you don't get delayed for your other vaccines. So, hindi siya bawal, kaya siya ng bata. It's actually practiced abroad. For those who are familiar how the vaccinations are done abroad, you get everything. First series example, you need a dose of 6-in-1, a dose of your rota, a dose of your pneumonia. You get all of that in one sitting. But then it ensures you that you don't have to come back like 3 times instead of that once. Again, you'd like to, right now you have to think that way. What are the risks of going out versus the benefits? So if I can get most out of this clinic schedule, clinic visit, I have to take it. I have to take advantage of it so that I don't have to keep coming back 2 or 3 times just for the primary series. So that I can get the next couple of the next doses probably a month or so later. So and then again, I don't have to come back every 2 weeks or every week just for that shot.
That's efficient, Doc. But as a child, matatakot ata ako na sobrang dami kong vaccine.
But again, right now, matatakot talaga sila kasi when they see us, we're not in our usual outfits when we go out. You have to, again, it's a different name. A lot of your doctors would be having a forcer mask, either goggles or a face shield. Some would even wear a PPE or a level 1 or 2 PPE, depending on the need. Even your clinic setup would be different. You'll have acrylic boxes standing up. You will have plastic sheets. No more the QT stops will be seen as much because you'd like to prevent where the virus could attach. So again, this is a different kind of normal for the next couple of months, but it will get better. We will get back to what we're used to. Probably not in May, probably not June, but soon, sooner rather than later. That's the goal.
Thanks, Doc. And there are doctors like you who are really going to help normalize and hopefully make it easier for moms out there to come out and go to the doctor and visit their pedia and keep their babies healthy. Okay, so Doc, we also received some questions about specific health concerns. First question is, what should we do kapag nakaranas si baby ng 1 to 2 symptoms that match the COVID-19 symptoms? How will I know if it's COVID or not?
Okay, so the COVID illness per se, initially, we have, the symptoms are actually the same as any viral illness out there. So you still have your cough, colds, fever, some kind of body malaise. So child is out of it, but not the usual perky self. So you can have that. So usually as a first aid, probably all the moms out there have it. You can give your antipyretics like your paracetamol that's coming out. You have to hydrate, because again, once your child is having a fever, their appetite is also less. They don't also, unlike adults that you can actually force yourself to drink or to eat, for kids, they just don't. So you have to give them hydration. You have to sometimes even force feed them for that so that to gain their strength back. If they are dehydrated, you might need to give some kind of electrolyte drink depending on what the situation is. And then how about the other symptoms? That is where, again, a good relationship with your pediatrician comes in, where you can actually call, text, Viber, Messenger, even Facebook, your friendly doctor, and say, these are the symptoms that my child is having. How can you help me? And I'm sure all the doctors would help you gladly in order to address your child's condition. Then also, first is not to panic. Okay, we have to not panic, and we have to have a good level head in this, because if every time your child coughs and you say it's COVID, and every time you go to the ER because of a cough, you have to understand, if I go to the ER naman, I might actually be giving more harm than good because I'm not being proactive. I'm actually might be exposing my child to a possible real COVID patient. Then again, you have to know how your child is. Check the child out. Is the fever resolving? Is the fever spiking up? Is the appetite really gone? Is your child peeing or not? It's very important. Your kids are supposed to pee. Absence of pee would mean that your child is dehydrated already. Fourth, how is he? Is he having difficulty of breathing or not? Is the child fine playing? Then suddenly we have spiking a fever. That is something I'd like, rather than a child who's just laying down the whole day. So again, it's dependent per child and dependent on what the symptoms of the child will be having. But basic probably would be always fluids, give good intake, give food, give symptomatic relief for fever and all of that.
So it really, before panicking, before even thinking of it as COVID, immediately let's go down the line of maybe it's just
from the line of basic cough colds. Yes, because we have to remember before COVID, there was cough and colds lang naman eh. So which is the most common illness for children. It's still going to be your regular cough, colds, flu type symptoms. Okay.
So Doc, you mentioned also that, you already gave us a rundown as well of what to do if ever they do feel the symptoms. But there's a question per in that, if a kid feels sick and, we don't know what sick this is, but if a kid feels sick, what would you recommend for them to do as an initial start?
Well, as I've mentioned a while earlier, Kats, again, fluids. Rest is very important. Rest. Giving your symptomatic relief. Example, if your child is febrile, give an antipyretic. Give your paracetamol. We'd rather give you paracetamol first before any of the NSAIDs like ibuprofen. So first line would always be paracetamol as long as the child is not allergic to that particular drug. You can have them at home. So yun muna. Think of that way. Then when to bring your child to the ER? Again, if the child is persistently febrile, inability to eat or drink, decrease in the urine output, difficulty in breathing, even before that, some effort of breathing is seen. So usually you're not supposed to know that a child or a person is breathing. Now, pag nag-obvious ka, na nakikita mo para siyang nahihirapan huminga, that means that there's actually effort or work of breathing noted. That is something that you have to address already. Kasi ideally, I'm not supposed to notice you breathing. If I notice you parang breathing with shoulders going up, your nose is flaring out, your mouth is always open, trying to catch a breath, then that's something else. So these abnormal things are what would make you say, I have to bring na my child to the ER.
There you
Kasi
go.
Kasi yun talagang na siya. Kailangan ng immediate So again persistently febrile, high-grade fever, weakness, body malaise, very, very weak, inability to move or stand. Kasi kung naglalaro pa yung anak mo, then that's fine. Ibig sabihin, that's a good thing. Pero kung nakahiga na lang siya the whole day, who refuses also to drink and eat, who also isn't able to pee anymore. Pee is very important. Your child is supposed to pee. You should check the number of diaper changes you have, how heavy the diaper is. Importante kasi yan. If all of these are already present, also with the effort of breathing, bring your child to the emergency room.
There you go. So, of course, it's important to keep all of this in mind before we actually panic. So, moms, if your baby is having a hard time breathing, maybe they played outside. Or, but of course, if it's them already.
If it's persistent already, then that's something else.
So, there you go, Doc. Number 3 naman, Doc, has something to do with hospitals because, we ran down how or what mothers should be doing if they already notice that something a little bit worse is happening to their baby. So with limited access to hospitals, Doc, what should they do during emergency situations?
Well, if it's really emergent, if the situation is emergent, you have no choice. You really have to bring your child to the hospital. Then you always have to think that every hospital you go to takes care of COVID patient. You have to have that mindset because you'll be more careful. Meaning, all of you would wear a mask. Then you always would be washing your hands. Wouldn't be you would do all the disinfecting that you need in order to protect your child and yourself as well. So that's how I think about it. Always think that because in a pandemic, everybody is a possible COVID patient. So in a pandemic like what we have right now, you should always think that the person beside you has COVID so that you'll also be aware, you also be careful. So you'll also wear your mask, you would always wash your hands, yung mga ganyan. So you would also do your personal and social distancing. So if you don't have that in mind, you're not going to be careful. Because somehow our lives before this were very we're very handy to people. We're not, and somehow it's not common in the Filipino no, to wash their hands palagi kasi like as often as we do now. Diba? Our hands right now are very dry na. That's why we have to put moisturizers kasi kada wash natin, nadadry siya eh. But then again, that's the only way for us to protect ourselves and our families from getting the disease.
Mm-hmm. And again, hopefully, Doc, this doesn't need to happen to anybody, and that our mommies and daddies and families don't need to have to face an emergency situation. But if you do, then it really has to be putting it. I like that, Doc. Putting in your mind that you really have to be extra careful, and that everyone has to be more careful for everyone else as well.
Yes, and if you kind of stay home, you have less possibility of exposure. So that's why it's very important to try to stay as home as much as possible. Because if you're home, you're not exposed to a lot. So when you're home, you're kind of protected in the four corners of your house. So trying that, staying home, being vigilant in washing your hands, maintaining social personal distancing when you do go out, wearing a mask is already right now mandated. But we have to wear a mask. So all of this, if we think, again, you have to put in your mindset that everybody that you come in contact with is a possible COVID patient, so that you would also be careful, and also the other people would also be careful as well. Kasi baka isip mo sila lang pala, pati ikaw, pwede ka rin palang, kasi there are asymptomatic carriers that's out there.
Mm-hmm. Very, very true, Doc. It's really something to really keep in mind, to be more careful, not just for yourself, but for the other people as well. Yes. Doc, we're gonna pause real quick because I just want to say hi to all the mommies who are tuned in. Apparently, like, so many mommies are commenting and posting, and Mommy Bianca Gonzalez is watching us as well. Hi! And we have Doc Marev, of course, Dr. Marev. She's the pediatrician that I have very luckily here with us today for Johnson School of Dental, answering all your questions. Please keep commenting your questions if you have a few. We do still have some that came in from moms before, but if you have questions that you'd like her to answer, we could have time later on for that as well. Okay? So, Doc, this is my favorite question. I got excited for this. A mommy is asking, normal lang po ba sa baby ang malakas humilik? Wala naman po siyang sipon or ubo, pero nakaka-bother po ang hilik niya pag natutulog. Tapos 17 months po si baby.
Actually, problem yan of whatever age group, diba? Bata, matanda. Okay, for those who are, why do kids snore? You usually find this pag medyo heavier setting baby, yung cute, yung very chubby, fluffy babies, no?
Yung mga kulang na sa neck.
Yung sobrang wala na silang neck, they look like Olaf, no? Yung ulo na lang, tas katawan na. Usually nangyayari yan eh. Kasi you have to understand, when you lay a baby down, tapos mataba siya, the tendency is for the neck to actually the head will go down, then the tongue will go back. Kasi yun eh, pag wala kang neck, very short neck or walang neck, pag nangyayari sa babies, yun yung nangyayari. So dapat talaga, it's better if you put them in a prone position. Mapapansin yan, pag nasa prone position siya, ibig sabihin face down or tummy down, you will have almost disappearance of that snoring. So unfortunately, the chubbier you are, even as you grow older, that more that you will be able to have some kind of snoring that will be bothersome for both you and for the people around you. Kasi yung mga bata, pag nagsusnore sila, nakakatakot minsan kasi daig pa nila yung matatanda. They really snore loudly. Para silang matatanda nagsusnore. Akala mo kung sino yung nagsusnore. Pero just your child. So again, that happens when you have a heavier set kid. Medyo mataba. Again, the very, very cute, chubby ones na parang walang leeg. Just a blob of a head. Then your body. Then cute na ba? Ganun. Pag ganun, cute na cute tayo sa ganun eh. Kaya minsan, it's better if you put them in a prone position. Again, depending. This is a 17-month-old. So kayang-kaya niyan mag-prone position. We usually don't leave our kids na less than 6 weeks in a prone position na walang nagbabantay. Usually, laging pag walang bantay, face up sila palagi.
So, Doc, it's not as serious as maybe some moms are worried about? Because the worry of some moms, baka the snoring for a baby is, dangerous.
It depends. If it's just like that, sometimes you can, again, ask your pediatrician if they do the physical examination and there's no blockage, the tonsils are not too enlarged for age, there is no problem with the heart or anything, then weight loss is a very good thing that you can recommend. Proper positioning of when sleeping is also ideal. But then, the older your child gets and they're still snoring, we might have to think of other reasons why they're snoring. Usually, first thing they ask to do is you have to lose weight. If the child naman is not heavy set and still snoring loudly, examinations for your tonsils and adenoids might come into order. So that depends as well. We have to also have some heart checkups because we have to know if there's a problem that's there as well. But then again, anong kinalaman ng heart? Minsan kasi nakakarinig na kayo ng OSA, obstructive sleep apnea, 'di ba? Pag ganun, pag hindi ka kasi nakakahinga, nahihirapan yung puso mo. So then again, this happens mostly pag mas matatandang mga bata. Pag mga ganyan, hindi masyado for 17 months. Wala kaming masyadong ginagawa for that. Except observation, positioning, proper weight management, kailangan for that.
There you go, mommies. If your baby is snoring, please check if they are eating well. Baka sobrang lakas lang talaga nilang kumain and yung appetite nila very, very good. It is a good thing, but it also could cause.
Depends kasi appetite is a good thing to a point. Everything in moderation. Appetite is a good thing to a point, even for adults. And diba, you'd like them to have the appetite enough for them to get to an ideal weight, an ideal height, but not too much that you're actually pushing them to become overweight or obese.
Right, to have the health concerns involved already when it comes to their appetite. Doc, thanks for that. So cute, the chubby babies. Number 5 question, Doc, we have for today. Ano po ba ang gagawin para maiwasan ang mga rashes ni baby this season?
Okay. We have to classify rashes. Rashes can either be infectious or non-infectious. So for the infectious rashes, medyo usually this is a viral infection coming in with a viral exanthem. So we'd have to, again, if you have the vaccines for it, you won't have them, but not all rash illnesses have vaccines for them. So if you do have that, you also have to moisturize. Second, non-infectious rashes. Depends, may age group din kasi tayo, no? Usually, pag bata pa, we have a lot of rashes caused by your mga either because of atopic dermatitis, seborrheic dermatitis, or even just chafing rash. Pag mas matataba, marami silang chafing rashes eh. So, paano importante dyan? We have to moisturize. We have to really moisturize. Give them daily baths. Kasi minsan iniisip nila pag baby, hindi naman nila kailangan maligo eh, kasi hindi naman sila madumi. Again, a bath doesn't have to be a very, very long process. It could be as simple as giving them a quick water down with taking care of their behind the ears, their necks, yung mga skin folds are very important, yung mga ganyan. So that would be very good. So moisturize. At saka I would like to follow the rule of threes. Merong rule of threes kasi sa moisturization.
Okay, Doc, what is this?
You have to have your bath, yes. Take a bath within 3 to 5 minutes. Mabilis yung bath. Tapos you have to moisturize within 3 minutes of bathing. So medyo basa pa, mag-moisturize ka na. Then you have to reapply that moisturizer or emollient mga 2 to 3 times a day. Kahit na summer, kasi ngayon merong concept na pag summer, hindi naman hindi naman magda-dry skin mo kasi mapawis naman. Actually, humidity is actually something that you have to address as well kasi dahil mapawis ka, natatanggal yung moisturizer. So that's why you have to reapply. Minsan it's not enough to even reapply. Minsan you have to have a quick sponge bath then reapply after. Kasi may mga tao na rash sila sa sarili nilang pawis. So it's not enough to wipe. Sometimes you have to wash.
And that's so crucial to really put the lotion 3 minutes after the bath.
Within 3 minutes after bathing.
Why is this though?
So yun ang rule of threes. So while there's still moisture from water, you want to lock that in. Kasi mas matagal without the moisturizer, nag-evaporate siya. Nagkakaroon ng tinatawag nating trans-epidermal water loss, mga TEW. So ano lang yun? So it's just a way of saying nag-evaporate lahat ng mga moisture. So you'd like to seal that moisture in. So that's where the moisturizer comes in. You seal that off. Parang ano lang.
Seal it.
To prevent evaporation of moisture. Then you reapply because nawawala yung sealant na yun. So reapply.
I think that's crucial, Doc, talaga, the reapplication of your lotions. Kasi, I mean, we sweat, so kala ng mga tao yung pawis okay na yun as their moisturizer.
No, iba yung pawis, iba yung moisture. Kasi, yan yung problema. So, Doc, naglagay naman kami ng lotion kaninang umaga pagkapaligo niya eh. Tapos sabi ko, yun na po. Sabi ko, so then again, you have, so you put lotion, within the first 3 minutes after bathing. Tapos you have 23 more hours that you don't have protection from. Kasi pwedeng, kung naglaro na siya, or he crawled, or whatever kids do nowadays, matatanggal talaga yung lotion na yan, or yung moisturizer natin.
Very good. And that's what we have to really think about, the moms and dads out there, that hindi pwede ang one application. Remember Doc Marev's rule of threes, that is shower 3 to 5 minutes, apply the lotion 3 minutes after bathing, and reapply within 3 minutes, yes, and reapply at least 2 to 3 times in a day. And we all know that, rashes, ang kalaban talaga niyan, sweat, dryness, redness, irritation, all those can come or can be avoided if your skin is moisturized and if your baby's skin is moisturized. But we know that dahil mainit yung season, madaling mapawisan, and our babies, our toddlers, maybe they're not very into the lotions, and that's why we have to pick certain lotions or lotions that will make them enjoy putting it on their skin. Kaya sobrang perfect ang Johnson's Baby Milk Lotion for toddlers because hindi siya malagkit. It has 10 times more nourishing ingredients to really help your toddler's skin. And I mean, even I, as an adult, this is one of my favorites because it's so soft. This is what it looks like. Oh, this one is the 500 ml. It'll last you the whole quarantine. There we go. Pwedeng gamitin ng buong family. It is the Johnson's Baby Milk lotion that is, again, perfect for your toddlers because it is really going to dry absolutely quickly. And if you're thinking about your newborns naman, we have, as we talked about in the last sessions, the Johnson's Cotton Touch. This is the ultralight and non-sticky lotion that is perfect for newborn babies. It's Johnson's best hypoallergenic care for newborn sensitive skin. And it is so good that you can use it at first day or first anything of your baby. Pwede nyo nang gamitin yung Johnson's Cotton Touch. So there are just a couple of ideas if you'd like to continue Doc Marev's, or you know what, hindi if you'd like, dapat gawin ang Dr. Marev's rule of threes when it comes to moisturizing and hydrating yourselves. Okay, Doc, thanks for that. I learned something new. I mean, even as adults and the mommies and daddies out there, even if we're not baby skin anymore, kailangan hydrated pa rin yung mga skin natin. We have to keep that rule in mind. Okay.
Yes, it actually applies to all ages.
Noted. So, Doc, we have another question here. Sa gabi or madaling araw, 3 times po umuubo si baby kapag tulog. Is this normal? If not, ano po kaya ang reason nito?
Napaka-sakto naman ng bilang ng ubo ni Mami. Talaga nabilang niya 3 times. Okay. Coughing is a normal reflex for anybody from birth to tomb. Normal lang mag-cough. As long as the coughing is not persistent, it disturbs sleep, is accompanied by any other symptoms. And so, to answer that question, kung cough lang siya ng 3 beses for the whole night, tapos hindi naman na-bother yung tulog niya, then that could be normal or acceptable. But then again, we have to understand that there are there are other disease entities that present with coughing, especially at night. So what are these? You can have allergic rhinitis, you can have asthma. They're usually worse at night. But then again, if it's just a sporadic cough na wala namang kasamang problems, walang other symptoms, nakatulog yung bata the whole night, when he woke up the next morning, he's energized again, then it's not something that I'm gonna be bothered with. But pag may other symptoms like mag-fever siya or persistent yung cough na hindi na siya nakakatulog the whole night, accompanied by runny nose, pagising sa umaga, merong mga sneezing fits, then that's something that we have to look into. Might be having some kind of allergy or something.
That's when you have to check out. So
pero
if it's just
times lang, baka di naman kailangan.
Yeah. Be aware lang siguro, Doc, yung mga moms out there for the next day if something is happening talaga to the baby after the cough.
Yeah, or concurrent during that time. During the next couple of days, kamusta yung bata? Is the coughing just at night, 2 or 3 episodes? Then wala namang ibang problems. Also, you have to take into consideration, ano ba yung hinihigan niya? Baka yung mga pillows na yon, hindi yan nahugasan or napalitan ever since you bought it. And your stuffed toys, hindi sila, kailan siya huling naligo? O baka yung dating white, gray na siya ngayon. Yung mga ganyan, what are the things that your baby or your child has kasama matulog? Kasi yun din kailangan to take into consideration. Minsan yun na nagkukos ng coughing fits nila.
Perfect time for all the moms to gather all the toys of the babies and put it in the bath right with them. Yeah. Clean it out. Doc, question number 7 naman po is about chickenpox. So my daughter has chickenpox right now. Okay lang ba na wala siyang i-take na medicine aside from paracetamol for fever?
Okay, chickenpox is a virus. So it will spontaneously resolve on its own whether or not you give anything. Except lang kung may mga complications siyang iba. Yun actually pinaproblema natin. So, paracetamol is pretty good if your child is febrile, but you also would like to moisturize the skin kasi nagda-dry out din yung skin niyan. They have lesions that could be very itchy. So, hindi porket meron silang lesions, hindi na sila lalagyan ng lotion or emollients or whatever moisturizer because you like to moisturize it as well kasi pag nangati sila, they would scratch. And pag nag-scratch sila at pag dry yung skin, imagine nyo para siyang dahon, no? Yung dry leaf. Pag dry na dry yung leaf at tinouch mo siya, nagka-crumble siya. So that's a dry skin. Unlike if it's a moisturized kind of skin, so parang hindi mo para siyang fresh na leaf. So pag tinouch mo siya, hindi siya magka-crumble, hindi siya masisida. So that's a visual way I always try to tell my patients, ganun ang dry skin, para siyang dry leaf. So pag ginalaw mo siya, pag tinouch mo siya, madali siyang masira, magkasugat, yung mga ganyan.
Very true. And it's so important to
paracetamol or antihistamine or anti-itch medication for that.
Paracetamol is okay, but if they do antihistamine and antihistamine, paracetamol for medicines, and moisturizers for the itch of the skin, not to forget the skin as well.
And watch out for any other complications brought about by the chickenpox. Most common would be your pneumonia, yung mga ganyan. So pag hirap huminga, persistently nag-uubo, hirap huminga, persistently febrile, yung mga ganyan. Pwede kasi silang magkaroon ng ganyan.
There you go. If your kid or if your daughter or son is like the mommy that asked this question, once again, paracetamol, antihistamine, and don't forget to moisturize the skin. Siguro, Doc, nakakalimutan rin yung kate ng skin pag nagiging dry talaga. And chickenpox is really, it really does that. Plus, with the scratching will come wounds, sugat, mas lalong lalala pa.
Kaya nga, if the integrity of the skin is not there, mas lalo siyang magsusugat.
Mm-hmm.
At saka, might forget, hydration. Pag meron ka kasing chickenpox, meron ka minsan mga sugat, sores, mouth sores. Kasi whatever you see outside happens inside as well. So, minsan they have decrease in appetite, decrease in fluid intake. So, you have to sometimes constantly remind them and force feed them or force them to drink para ma-hydrate sila.
There we go. Hydration also outside and inside of our bodies.
Yes.
So, Doc, number 8 naman, this is the last question, I believe, of the set of questions that we have. And then we're gonna go through the comment section on Facebook. Ay,
All
naku,
right.
Doc, mag-ready ka. Ang dami-dami nagtatanong. Our last question is, can you suggest ways to stay healthy while being indoors?
For kids or for parents? For
Pwede both, Doc.
everybody.
Yeah.
Pwede both. Actually, aside from physical health, meron kang mental health na kino-consider eh. Kasi especially if you're not used to being inside a room with your family or just by yourself, it's something that you also have to consider. So before I go to the physical side na mental health, so keep yourself, keep positive. No? In spite of the gamut of information out there, you have to set a time for you just to read and choose what to read. Okay? Kasi if the whole day, pwede ka talaga magkaroon the whole day. If you allow yourself, you would have all bad news all 24 hours. Kasi there will always be bad news out there. So you have to set yourself siguro a time. Kunyari, an hour. I have to be aware lang of what's happening. Meron na bang bagong news? Na-lift na ba yung quarantine? Na-extend ba siya? So, yung mga ganun lang. Wag naman the whole time, the whole day. So, keep yourself preoccupied with other things that you haven't done before. Probably reading. So, for kids, you can read to your kids. Now, it's also a good time to do family bonding. Yung, di ba, lagi natin sinasabi, wala kasi kaming time eh. Lagi kaming busy sa work. So, ngayon, magagawa natin lahat yan. Kasi what we have right now is time. We may not have all the food, but we have all the time. So time is there. So we can be, yes, diba? We can play with them. We can cook with them. We can do exercise with them. So these are the things that we can keep our mental health good. Now, how about physical side? Again, proper diet, nutrition, eating the right kinds of food, trying to quarantine ourselves from the refrigerator or from incessant feeding. Could be kasi ngayon, di ba? Baka pumasok ka, your waistline is nyari, 28. Baka pagkatapos ng quarantine, nasa 35 na kasi decrease yung physical activity. So we'd like to maintain that physical activity as well. Pwede ka naman mag-exercise sa house. You can exercise with your kids. Marami sa social media na mga exercise at home, merong yoga, or you can do all of this with your family para enjoy sila. Tapos, hydrate yourself kasi mainit nga, so you have to hydrate. I cannot overemphasize on hydration kasi dehydration can make you weak. Dehydration from ambient temperatures can make you weak. So, drinking lots of water will help you with this. So hopefully na-answer ko yung yung question niya, how to get keep your wits about it as well.
Yeah, Doc, it is really a difficult time right now to be even okay as a person, and to be able to take care of a child pa. So it really has to be like a holistic experience. You have to be okay so that you can pass on the positivity to your child as well. And activities like cooking, maybe this is the time that if they've never worked out in their life, this is the time that the babies and moms can do dancing. That would be so fun as well. And Doc, you mentioned hydration, so important. I mean, I think people forget that even just drinking water sometimes is not enough. So if it's not enough, of course, we have electrolyte drinks. And if your child is picky, you can try Vivity. It comes in apple and orange. So that is the electrolyte drink that we have also. It's called Vivity. This is what it looks like. So cute. It's ready. And you can drink it instantly, no need to mix in water. And a lot of kids love it. So hopefully your child would love it too. Doc, that's it for our questions from the previous, but I have a bunch right now. This one is from our Facebook Live. We have another round for you. Kasi actually a lot of moms have been waiting also for pediatricians because there are really a lot of moms at home with their children worrying and stressing. So hopefully we get to answer as many as possible. So Doc, we'll go on with the first one. Pati po ba sa newborn baby, kailangan mag-apply ng moisturizer?
Newborns per se. So that when we say newborn, meron kasing time period yan eh. Are we talking about at birth lang or first month, first 6 weeks? Usually, normal kasi sa bata na magkakaroon sila ng scaling afterwards. That's normal. So yung parang nagbabalat ahas about 3rd to 4th day of life, they start having peeling off of their skin. That's normal. And again, this question, I'll be able to answer again this question also with regards to the family history. How is the family history of this child? Napakataas ba ng allergies or atopy sa family na to? Kung mataas, mas maaga tayo mag-moisturize. Even as early as 4 to 6 weeks, kung kailangan, nag-moisturize na tayo. Pag nakikita natin yung skin ay hindi maayos.
Hi, Doc.
Hi.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Did I lose you?
Yes, Doc. I'm here.
Okay. So what did you grab?
The kailangan yung family history, important. Yeah.
Yes. So yun important yung mga ganun.
Okay. So it really depends on the baby. But so Doc, pag newborn baby, okay lang po na mag-apply ng moisturizer.
At birth, they don't need it. At birth, per se, they don't need it. They might need it once mga 6 weeks sila, depending again on the family history and how the child is. Kung mataas ang atopy, then yes, they will need it.
There we go. And again, if you forget, Doc has a rule of 3s. You have to apply your moisturizers. That is where, for newborn babies, the gentlest formulations of lotions come in. And the Johnson's has Johnson's Cotton Touch lotion, of course. This is the milk bath. This is not the lotion. But there is Johnson's Cotton Touch. That one perfect for newborns talaga. It's the gentlest formulation of Johnson's Baby. And yun, if you, again, like Doc said, the first 6 weeks, it depends on the situation also. But, it won't hurt to moisturize your baby as early. Okay, Doc, our next question naman po is...
It depends on all the skin is.
Right. Here. In our current situation, Doc, kids love to eat snacks. So how much sugar content dapat ang i-take nila per day?
Sugar content. Medyo kasi, I need to know what else is your child eating. Kasi, if their child is drinking milk already, mataas na rin ang sugar ng milk. If they're eating rice, meron na rin yung sugar content. I need to know what else they're eating. So my rule is no sugary drinks. No sugary drinks talaga. So because pure sugar yan powdered juices are also pure sugar with flavoring. No iced tea na detimpla, yung tinitimpla na powdered iced tea, those are all sugar kasi. So if that, for me, the easiest way to decrease the sugar intake of your child is to eradicate all sugary liquid calories. So ibig sabihin, calories from sugar in the liquid form. So no soda, no iced tea, no powdered juices, no powdered teas, mga ganyan. Now, for sweets, alam mo naman kung matamis yung pinapakain mo, it's not as if like, I'm sure if you give your child a donut, alam mo naman na matamis yung donut. So make it not as a main meal, pwede siyang as a prize. Or you always say, this is one way of sharing, o mag-share sila kung ilan sila magkakapatid with a donut. Instead of giving one donut to one child, you can half the donut para they still have the taste of the donut and share the calories, parang ganun.
Right. So it's a treat and not exactly part of the whole meal. Like it's something special that they have. It's true, Doc.
It's a treat, not a meal, guys.
The sugary drinks get you, Doc. Before I thought it was just, as a child, you would just keep putting the powdered drinks as if it was sweetener, but it's actually sugar talaga, no?
It's sugar, yes. It's sugar. Kaya nga if you don't mix it, if you don't stir it, it's sugar. You'll see the sugar talaga.
Hi. Okay. Hopefully, the mommies out there, you really watch what you are able to, feed your child. Although it is so delicious, sometimes to have a little sweet treat. Make sure it's a treat and not exactly the whole meal. Doc, next question. Is some moms have limited access to fresh foods. Is it okay to feed canned goods to young children?
Yes, it's okay to give canned goods, but you have to increase the nutritional value of that canned good.
Okay.
So, what do I mean? So, right now, kunyari, go-to ngayon is luncheon meat or corned beef, yung mga ganyan, di ba? Or canned meats. Yun ang usual eh. So, they will eat that. They will always eat that. So, you have to increase the nutritional value of that. How do we do that? You can make it into a soup. Kunyari, instead of just giving the luncheon meat or the canned meat as a fried variant, you make it into sopas. So, you add milk, you add vegetable to it, so it becomes a better meal. So, example, for your corned beef, you can add cabbage, you can add vegetables of whatever, or corn, kung anong gusto nilang kainin, or peas, para you increase the nutritional value of that. So, they might not be eating fresh foods talaga, but you have to increase the nutritional value of whatever canned food you're giving.
Right. That is such a good idea, Doc. Kasi yung luncheon meat into sopas, it's so easy to just not think outside the box, but to make it into a soup, it's full, it's complete with vegetables na rin.
Yeah.
Elevating the canned goods for the children.
Elevate the canned good, increasing the nutritional value of that canned good.
Thanks, Doc, for that. That question was answered. And here, Doc, another one. So, number 4 from the Facebook Live is, can flu vaccine lessen the chance of catching the virus? And I assume that the virus that they're talking about is the COVID virus.
Your flu vaccine would address the chances of you getting flu. It has nothing to do with COVID. Kasi, diba, wala pang vaccine for COVID. Probably by 2021, if we're lucky, we'll get there. But right now, would like to reiterate that there are a lot of vaccine-preventable diseases out there. I would suggest that you get the flu, the pneumonia, and all of that, because you don't want that being an added burden. Catching those diseases can be an added burden to your family. It might not be COVID, but you're going to be in a place that you're still going to get worried. You're still going to get sick. They still could be deadly if you're not properly vaccinated.
Right. Doc, so if I get the flu, or if the baby gets the flu vaccine, it means talagang hindi siya magkaka-flu? Or?
No vaccine, no. A vaccine is not getting the vaccine is not a 100% guarantee that you will not get it. Hindi yan parang force field, no? I would put it into mind like armor. So parang, diba, if you go to war, mas malamang masaktan yung taong nakakamiseta at saka naka-rubber slippers versus somebody na naka full battle gear and with all the armamentarium you have. Yun yung point ng vaccine. It gives you armamentarium to prevent you to grab that disease or getting hurt. Kasi kung pupunta sa gera na nakakamiseta ka lang, naka-shorts, naka-rubber sleepers, madali kang magkaroon pwede ka masaktan very easily. At least vaccine gives you a chance to not have the disease, or if you do get it, it's not as bad as if you never had the vaccine.
Right. There you go. So again, don't worry if you haven't gotten the catch-up or the vaccines with your doctor because of the quarantine, because as Doc mentioned earlier, you can have a catch-up and you have to just weigh your risks when you do go to the pediatricians. And of course, have a healthy relationship with your pedia and with your doctor so that you know exactly what plan to do for your babies. Okay, Doc, Number 5
Yes.
question from the Facebook Live naman is, Doc, is it normal for a breastfeeding baby na hindi malakas, or a breastfed baby rather, na hindi malakas umihi?
Dapat umiihi. Kasi kung hindi siya ganun kalakas umihi, baka kulang yung frequency ng pagbe-breastfeed mo. You have to understand, breastfeeding is per demand. So, kung kailan gusto, dapat magbe-breastfeed siya. It would be nice kung malaman ko kung ano yung age group, ano yung age ng batang to, para I will give you a better answer kung gaano siya kadalas umihi within a day. Pero dapat umiihi. It's actually one way for us to know if you're giving, you have enough breast milk given to your child is kung nag-imihi, nag-poop, nag-weight gain, mga ganyan. So, dapat umiihi sila. So, pag kulang ang ihi, might be needing more breast milk from you. Might have to increase the frequency of breastfeeding.
There we go. So, it's normal, Doc, after breastfeeding, kailangan talaga umiihi. So, it has to do with the number of times they breastfeed.
Hindi kailangan na umihi sila right after breastfeeding, pero dapat umiihi sila. Pag sinabi mo kasi kumonte, ano ba yun? Once lang siya per day? Twice ba siya per day? Kasi diba, kahit tayo, even as adults, we have to know how we do pee, even though we do pee 2, 3, 4 times in a day. Minsan, pag di natin nag-pee at particular time, susunod nating pee, sobrang dami naman ng pee natin. So we have to know as well. So, but one sure way na hindi ka magpipee is kung hindi ka inom or kulang yung ininom mo. So we have to, for that child, if you would like, check, if you increase the feeding, the frequency of the feeding, and basta umihi siya, that would mean kulang lang yung frequency ng breastfeeding mo. Right. So you just need more breast milk. Have to take into consideration, mainit ngayon. So you only pee what is in excess. So because of the heat, you also have, again, waters evaporating from you. So you can never pee what you lack. So it's only when you have enough fluids that you have enough pee.
Right. Okay, got it, Doc. So for the mommies, important talaga to watch or to monitor. Maybe if it's not the breastfeeding or the number of times you breastfeed, it could also mean other things. So make sure that you really monitor even the pee of your baby. I'm sure a lot of moms are on it.
Yes.
Yeah, they're on it talaga because, you know, our mommies out there, they're really working so hard. The next question po, Doc, naman about, okay, anong pwedeng gawin pag nahihirapan naman po mag-poop si baby? This is a difficult question for a lot nga, Doc.
I would like to know how old this child is. At saka how, when you say difficult, does the baby not poop every day? Or does the baby poop every day pero matigas? So a lot of that. What will give you changes in your bowel movements? First, change in diet. Usually, nagkakaroon ng changes in bowel movements pag nag-change in diet. Meaning probably from pure breastfeeding, parating ng 6-7 months, you start giving already semi-solid feeding, mag-change yung pooping frequency niya. So, pwedeng mas matigas yung poop. Bakit pwedeng matigas ang poop? One, pwedeng yung kinakain mo. So, decrease in fiber, probably also decrease in fluids, you're not giving enough fluids. There are some babies who have, some kids who have functional constipation, yung mga ganyan, tinatawag namin functional constipation. We do help them with some medications for that, for those who have functional constipations. I can't just tell you kasi right now anong dose. Depend kasi yan, the pediatric practice is very difficult because we base a lot of our computations depending on the weight of the child rather than the age. Kasi there are kids, diba, na matanda pero payat or bata pa lang pero mataba. So we have to weigh that. We have to see which medication would give you what particular effect. Usually talaga mag-change is diet. The diet. The kind of diet you eat. Lalo na kung medyo mataas sa fast food ang diet, mas likely siya magka-constipate. Pag decrease ang fruits, decrease ang vegetables, decrease ang fiber, decrease ang fluids, mas malaki ang possibility niya na mag-constipate.
Right. So Doc, when it comes to poop of the baby, or it depends what age, what would you recommend for them to change or do?
Check the diet. what are you feeding your child? Muna, kasi baka walang fiber. Second, baka kulang sa fluids. Kasi you have to understand, they have to drink. Hindi isang basong tubig 3 times a day, hindi na yun enough. Kasi meron kaming somehow computation on how to compute yung enough fluids na iniinom nila. Ideally, it's about for every 10 kilos, about 1,000 mils. So, medyo madami yung 1,000 mils. 4 na baso agad yun for a 10 kilogrammer.
Yeah.
So, that's a lot of fluid that you have to be taking. So, your child has to be taking, it's a toddler, mga 1.5 to 2 liters dapat ang iniinom nila.
Wow.
Ang dami nun. That's about 8 glasses. Kasi kung 1 full glass is 250 ml, then times 4 times 2, so that's about 2 liters. So, kailangan mo ng mga 8 full glasses. Nakita ko naman ng batang uminom ng 8 full glasses talaga without prodding. Diba? Kailangan talaga. Kasi, again, we might forget, basta they get one drink in the morning, 1 drink sa lunchtime, and 1 drink sa evening. Kala nila enough na yon. Hindi. We have to drink lots more. Also, you have to consider, marami din namang fruits na may fluids. So, kung ayaw nila uminom, so they take more fruits kasi mataas ang fluid nun. They have more soup kasi mataas ang fluid nun. Kung ayaw nila uminom ng water per se, so you can have fluids in different forms.
Always have to keep that hydration. And that's true, Doc. Minsan kasi umiinom tayo pag kumakain lang, hindi throughout the day. Yeah, something to keep in mind talaga. I mean, even as a child, you have to start them with those jugs na siguro they have to carry their own para sila na talagang actively
lalo
drinking
na
water.
Ngayon, yes. Lalo na ngayon, dapat.
So hot talaga and so
everybody
important. Yeah, you're right, Doc. Everybody, even the child. Diba, Doc, uso ngayon yung mga jugs for the adults? So even the child has to have one.
Mga patients ko, may sarili sila. At saka, they drink more if they pick the jug or the glass that they use. May ganun eh. So they drink more if they use the jug, the glass, they pick the design, may ganun. Dapat may ownership. Kahit sa water jug, dapat may ownership sila.
The kids have to love even the lalagyan so that they will use it more talaga.
Yes.
That's true. Doc, we have another question here naman. So, nagngingipin daw yung baby niya. So, normal po ba na magsuka at magkasinat yung baby niya?
Ang pangingipin, because it's an inflammation, you can have low to moderate grade fever. But hindi ka dapat nagkakaroon ng fever na mga 39, 40 degrees, 37.5 CNAT, 37.8, as high as 38. Yun, kasi nga, there's some kind of inflammation. That's where your paracetamol comes in. But you have to understand, pag ang bata, since they can't understand what they're feeling, nagingipin sila, mga age starts at 6 to 7 months old yan. Nag-start na yan mag-ipin, pwede. To as late as 13 months, doon pwede mag-start mag-ipin. They would put anything in their mouth. They would scratch their gums. They would rub their gums with whatever they grab a hold on to. And sometimes, what they grab a hold on is slippers or whatever, basahan. Yung kung anong maabot nila kasi nasa ground level. That is the one that causes you to have diarrhea, even vomiting, even illnesses. Hindi yung pagtubo ng ipin na nagkakos ng pagtatae. It's because of what the child does, dahil tumutubong ipin, kaya siya nagkakaroon ng pagtatae. So pag mismong pag-erupt ng tooth might give you fever but will not give you diarrhea. A child putting slippers and scratching that, rubbing that gum, that gives you diarrhea or vomiting. So yun. So you have to be mindful of what the child touches kasi that age group is very oral. Ibig sabihin, lahat ng mahawakan, ipapasok sa bibig.
Right. Oh, there you go, mommies. You gotta be careful. Minsan, hindi natin, cute-cute ni baby. Di natin alam, yun na pala yung mga pinapasok sa mouth nila ay not as sanitized as we'd hope for. So, yun po. Doc, that ends our question. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell our mommies who are tuned in?
So, don't panic. Try to get vaccinated as early as possible. Have a good relationship with your doctor, pediatrician. Sometimes we're just a text away or a Viber away. Like what happens to my patients. They just Viber me, and I give, if there's a need for me to give a script, I give them a virtual script. So pwede na kasi kami sa ganun. Importance of eating the right kind of food, keeping hydrated, physical activities, decrease screen time is very important. Although right now, very easy magkaroon ng sobrang screen time. You should have screen time of about 10 minutes per episode, twice, a maximum of thrice a day, twice na 20, 10-minute na 2 to 3 times per day lang, ang maximum na yon. Para they can do something else. So yun lang.
Thanks, Doc. You have eased a little bit of our worries and you have kept us hopeful. You've mentioned kanina and paulit-ulit na we will go back to normal. And that's such a comforting thing to hear.
Yeah, we will. It's a matter of time. Just have to keep the faith that in God's good time, everything will come back to, it might first be a new type of normal, then slightly becoming more normal than what we used to have before. Then, yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marev, for joining us today.
Vaccinated.
Important. Get your kids vaccinated, everybody. Dr. Marev, thank you very much for joining us today for this Johnson School of Dental. It was so much fun talking to you. Hopefully the mommies learned so much. Again, keep a good relationship with your doctor. Moisturize, hydrate, get your kids vaccinated. Remember, mommies, that staying in is very, very important, and staying hydrated while you are inside in this summertime is important. So if you'd like to keep your kids hydrated, of course, like Doc really recommends, hydrate your kids. Keep them hydrated with Vivity. It is a great tasting electrolyte drink. This is what it looks like. That helps replace lost fluids. It's instant. It comes in orange and apple, so you can try that with your kids who are picky and don't really like unflavored electrolytes. And mommies and daddies, thank you for joining us. Watch out for more Johnson School of Dental sessions because we still have a lot in store for you. We're inviting more experts. We're listening to all that you have to say to us. And we have very exciting sessions with Johnson celebrity ambassadors. So we hope to see you again. And while you're here, please do follow Johnson's Baby on Facebook and Instagram to know more of the information and to know more about caring for your babies and your kids. Doc, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy, and have a good evening.